I'm just saying with NJ. Tonight's panelists are Kristen Rusin, a believer, free thinker, mentor, entrepreneur, writer, and creative. She shares her thoughts weekly through her blog, According to Chris. It is her only desire to inspire and change the lives of others by sharing the struggles and victories of her own story. Tiffany Buckley, a technical representative for Leviton Manufacturing, holds a master's degree in education and a bachelor's in English, single and lives by the motto, love me or leave me alone. Jamar Jones is the executive minister of First Baptist Church East End. He enjoys writing and playing music, watching movies, and reading fiction novels. And Carlos Cox, a fabulous father of two. He is a child and youth mental health case manager and has been a cast member of NJ Productions since 2010. He enjoys his he enjoys spending time with his daughters, fishing, and playing sports. And our host for this evening, NJ.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you back for another episode of I'm Just Saying. This month, we've had some amazing married couples with us all month long. So if you have missed any of our episodes with our marriage couples, you can find them on YouTube, and you can also go back to NJ Productions, Inc. on Facebook. But tonight, we have some amazing guests with us on tonight. We have Kristen, Tiffany, Jamar, and Carlos. I'm just saying. So we're going to move right into it. We're not going to waste any time. And I'm going to ask them our first question on tonight. So my first question is, how important is sex in a relationship? I'm just saying. Anyone of y'all can ask that.
Very. I'm just saying.
I agree.
So, am I supposed to be giving like Holy Ghost church answers tonight, or
That is the Holy Ghost church.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying you can give any kind of answer you want to give as long as it's true.
Okay, well, sex is important in a relationship. Makisha said important.
Important.
It's important.
So everybody agrees it's important.
Yes.
So, not. So I guess my question would be, my next question would be, since you said it's important, is it a deal breaker when it comes to a relationship?
Yes.
In terms of whether we're doing it or not, or
meaning in terms of if you did proceed and have sex with the individual and the sex wasn't what you expected it to be, would you end the relationship?
Facts.
Nah. That's mean. That's mean.
No,
Wow.
it's real life. It's real life.
So we're gonna hear first Tiffany's response on her state your fact.
Yes, I'm going to state my case here. You have to realize that the divorce rate is very high. Okay. And not being honest can be another reason why you have people that get married. Sex was whack. They ended up having sex before. The sex was whack. They still trying to keep going, but you fronting. And eventually you're going to tip out, be with somebody else. There's going to be a divorce. So it's a deal breaker. I'm sorry.
Alrighty.
Anybody else want to make a comment? Chris, you think it's a deal breaker?
Who, me?
Yes, you. Is it a deal breaker?
Well, I would hope that I'm in a relationship where I can in some way communicate that the sex is trash. Right? Like, either just straightforward, like this ain't working, or like the gentle, like tips, like, hey, do this, not that. But I think eventually you're gonna get frustrated. I can't say it's a deal breaker, but you're gonna get frustrated. Like
That's a deal breaker.
that's when it comes in. Like I'm purposely not having it with you because it's trash.
That's a deal breaker.
Carlos.
I guess with Miss Tiffany, nothing else needs to be said. I mean, you know,
Men look at it a different way. So to the ladies, they say it more to a they lean more to a yes.
On a male perspective, you know, it's going to be a difficult thing. But like you said, if you're in a relationship and there's somebody you with, and like what Christian was saying, as far as being able to communicate, well, both ladies saying communicate. And if you're comfortable enough with your mate to say, look, we got, you know, you got to work on something because it's trash. You got to come with some tricks. You got to come with some tricks, you know, to liven things up, to make it more interesting, so that it doesn't become a deal breaker. So, you know, on a male perspective, you got to be man enough to hear what your mate is saying in order to say, hey, you trash, but we got to work on something. You got to do something a little bit because I may not be around a little bit later. Or like Tiffany said, you may go find somebody else.
Right. Yeah, I agree with Carlos. I don't think it's a deal breaker. And I have been in a relationship and did not have sex with the person. So I don't think it's a deal breaker. However, I do think communication plays a critical role. Both parties being willing to communicate whatever the issues are around your sex life, as well as, you know, communicating in a way where each party or whatever the offending party is owns up to his or her shortcomings. You know, I believe that there are some people who just haven't had a lot of sexual experiences in life. There are some people who are not as open sexually with their own bodies, and bringing that into a relationship can complicate or cause an issue with both parties having sex or enjoyable sex. So
let's go back to the original question.
Okay.
Said y'all slipped up and had sex before marriage, so you experienced
it. Was it a slip up?
Oh, what? Oh, what?
So you experienced it. Are you still going to get married after that experience? I'll wait.
I think that's something that has to be worked on before you get married. I don't think you should go into a marriage with anything
So my next question would be, sex is a topic most people don't talk about.
Right.
And so with that being said, how do you tell the mate that their sex is not good when they think what they're doing is great?
I think
how do you, without hurting or offending the other person?
That's the whole point. That's the whole point of the relationship. See, before you even get to sex, you should be able to communicate. I should be able to talk to you about anything, just like you can talk to me about anything.
Right.
And that's even, criticism. You know what I'm saying? Because we're in a relationship. This is you and I. When it comes to sex, and I feel like ain't nothing happened for me, we talking about it.
Right.
You have to know,
she gonna let y'all.
You can't go on like this, because at some point I'm gonna be like, all right. Then that's when you start hurting feelings, when you don't talk about it. You have to talk about it from the beginning.
Yeah.
And you have to say, listen, there's something ain't clicking with me.
I agree with Tiffany. I definitely think you have to set a foundation of communication to where we can be open with each other about what we need to be open with each other about.
Absolutely.
And at some point, sex will fall in that category. And maybe, a lot of it, everybody's heard this life lesson. A lot of it is not what you say, it's how you say it. So if I roll up to you like, yo, you was trash last night. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, is that the best way to express that? Or can you kind of do a little better with how you say it? You know what I mean? Like, hey, then that's going to put the other person in a defensive state and cause a greater argument on some other stuff that you might be trash with. That ain't sense.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah, but I agree with the communication. You got to set that early.
Yeah.
Carlos, you was gonna say something?
Nah, I mean, they pretty much hit it on the head. As far as to answering that question right there, it has to start with communication and understanding and knowing who knowing each other. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that was my answer right there.
All right. Well, the good thing is the context of this is a relationship, because if this is a situationship, I just met you and we hooked up or anything else like that, I'm just going to stop talking to you. Like, I'm going to, first of all, your number's probably not saved. So, boom. But if we're in a relationship, now let's keep in context, somebody's going to be offended. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's where I was going with that. My next question.
Feelings are going to be hurt. So go ahead with the next question. Then.
Yes, because no matter how you put it,
mm-hmm.
for another individual to say that to you,
yep.
and you think you bomb, that's hurtful no matter how you put it.
Right.
So my question would be, how do you address that?
I would think,
without hurting the other person's feelings.
I think it's inevitable. You know, you can put sugar and spice and everything nice on all of your words. You know, you can go the route of, hey, babe, let's try this, and you not do that. You can do whatever, but when that person internalizes the fact that you're saying that what they gave it they all and they all wasn't good enough, 99.5 won't do, then they're going to their feelings are going to be hurt. That's out of your control. But I do think what's in your control is to not make them feel bad about it. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm saying, hey, well, I didn't really enjoy it, or hey, next time can you do, and they start to feel down in the next argument, you can't be like, well, that's why you trash anyway. Right. And I think we da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? You can't. Yeah. I think it's all in your follow-up responses and being patient. You know what I mean? The next go around. The sex will send me to hell for talking about sex on the internet.
Can I retract 1 second? I think in addition to communication being laid foundationally, you have to lay chemistry has to be a part of it. Like if you don't have no chemistry, it just ain't gonna happen. If y'all don't click on levels that have nothing to do with sex, like just, are you stupid or not? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you, can I talk to you and have a intellectual conversation?
Yes.
Are you, or are you just, like a bump? Like some people they're just not about nothing. And if you, and if you hook up with somebody like that and y'all don't have any, am I making sense? Like chemistry, it can affect the next part also.
Yeah.
That's what makes the conversation easy. The fact that you do have chemistry and the fact that you two are together, you're comfortable talking to each other. So even if I say something that maybe, it may sound hurtful, but you'll be able to receive what I'm saying to you because you know that I'm not coming from that place, because our relationship, I'm not trying to, come at you that way. I'm just saying to make it better for us, we need to work on this.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I think when a person trash before you even touch them. I
agree. I think okay, here's the thing for me. I'm not saying I have sex before marriage.
Of course not. None of us. Who does that?
If a guy comes off too braggadocious.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? If in the conversation, he can't ask you, about things about you, but he's asking you all the things like, what do you like? You know what I'm saying? You can get the vibe that like, okay, this is about to be a waste of my time. So,
facts.
I mean, Jamar's right. You can tell. And if the chemistry, if y'all not clicking, okay, all right. Nah.
Yeah, like that's the first thing that come up. Right.
Why you voted? Why are we even talking about sex if we don't have no chemistry?
Exactly. I don't even
turned on.
Exactly.
I don't know your name. I don't know where you come from. I mean, like you said earlier, your number's not in here, so I don't.
So with that being said, if the individual told you that, what would be your response?
If the individual told us
that
we trash.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
you a lie.
Tell me what was trash about it. What did I do?
Yeah, let's break it down.
Yeah, like break it down to me. Tell me what I do.
Yeah, let's go through the steps.
Right. I didn't spin around fast. Like, tell me what it was.
Did my breath thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why you ain't move? You didn't move. He's just there. Why
tell me something. Tell me, give me some direction.
Right. And so then
we have to not be offended by it.
It's real. Listen, we're trying to be together, right? If we're trying to be together and have this relationship, then we're growing. So in order for us to grow, like I do have to take some direction every now and again. But especially when it comes to sex, like you got to tell me what's happening. Like,
right, you're lying.
Yeah. And again, I guess I'm going back to the male to the male respect, to the male ego. That's one of the things we pride ourselves on. And you have to be a strong enough brother or male to be able to hear from your mate that it wasn't all that good.
Yeah.
And being able to what's going on with me? Is there something lacking emotionally? Or we're not vibing? Sex, whatever. There is something that's not there. There's lacking. But I got to be man enough to say, okay, I got to up my game and do some things to make it better. You know what I'm saying? Right. Being able to say, well, baby, hey, and also let me add this: not think that all women are the same sexually.
I was gonna say that.
You know what I'm saying? They're not the same because one female may be a certain way, but this other, the one that you're with now, may not be into what the other one was. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So again, hearing what they're saying, what they're about, and being strong enough within ourselves to say we ain't gonna kill it all the time, so we may be lacking. Yeah. But being able to say, well, I need for you to do this. Your mate is telling me I need for you to do this. Or I prefer this. I prefer some talking, some type of foreplay like that before we really get into it.
Right. He said what I was going to say is that, in the end, if somebody were to say, not saying that I have sex, I just want to put that out there. Can you see the halo above my head? I don't know.
Yes,
not at all.
I mean, not yet.
You go ahead and talk, play wife. You go ahead and talk, play wife.
Thank you, play husband. If anyone were to accuse me of trash relations, then I would have to take into account that what one person likes, another person may not. So it may not be that it was trash per se. It's just not their thing or their way. So yeah, right. But that takes maturity, though. You got to be, be a little bit grown to be able to have conversations like that. When you're early 20s and stuff, you just gonna get mad and then you gonna continue being trash with the next person, and that's
right.
Trash.
So I want to piggyback on what Kristen said.
Oh. So before you piggyback off what she said, I'm gonna just drop this in the air. So how could it be a deal breaker when it's an individual, but not a deal breaker for you?
All right,
it could be. He's gonna be honest when he tells me, like, Tiffany, either we're gonna work it out. He's gonna tell me, or we're gonna either work it out or this is over. I may be left like, oh, word, just because of that. But
it don't mean nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Because I'm saying, I'm sorry, dude. We ain't gonna work out. I'm saying it.
So I think, right. So everybody has a different expectation, and the other, your mate is not always privy to what your expectation is. Because I mean, think about the society we live in. It's all sexual. And so I don't know what you've seen or experienced prior to me that you may, like we've alluded to, that you may be carrying into this relationship. Mm-hmm. And I might not be Mr. Marcus.
Right.
And if I'm not Mr. Marcus and that's what you want, whether you communicated it or not, I mean, and it's a deal breaker.
Right.
And I know for me, I would be offended. I mean, my zodiac sign is in my title, so we're very into ourselves and what we can do. It would be offensive, but I mean, at the same time, like Carlos was saying, from a male perspective, you got to like man up, and even like Kristen said, be really grown to really even process somebody telling you it was trash.
Right.
Like, you was trash, bro. Because we're gonna automatically hop to, well, you ain't blah 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 blah, and you didn't hear. That's why I said you gotta say it right though. You can't. You gotta say it right. You just gotta say it right.
It's true. It's the way you say it.
Yeah. But
Kristen, what you was gonna say?
I don't know. I don't know. I got lost at one. At the moment he said he was a Gemini and they entered themselves, I just clocked out of the conversation.
right. We love us. We love us.
They fool themselves.
We love us.
Y'all love y'all. Y'all love y'all.
Okay. Is waiting to have sex played out or old fashioned? I'm just saying.
Okay.
Do you think in today's society?
Okay, I'm gonna be quick. I'm gonna say we definitely should wait. I see the importance. The older I've gotten, I realize that you see the importance of why God wants us to wait until we're married. So you won't be filled with all of these other things from X 1, 2, and 5. However,
Come on, however.
I'm gonna say sometimes you just want to know before you get married, though. Like, I mean, I ain't gonna say what I asked before, you know. But I'm saying, like, it's important that.
What did you ask?
Yeah.
I mean, I asked, at least can I see it so I can know what's happening? But I'm just saying, like, you know, I know it's important. I know that it's important to wait. It is important to wait. It is. I am gonna say that.
And what was your reason for waiting again?
What's the reason for waiting?
What was your reason for waiting again?
Why?
Yeah, why? What was your reason again?
Because I feel that you're not bringing in other stuff from other relationships.
Okay.
You're coming in like, you know, clean.
Okay.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. Yeah.
Okay, who's next to tackle that one?
Who's next?
Carlos.
I in today's society, today's time, it can be considered old fashioned. But at the same time, it's based on what that individual, you know, what their moral, their spiritual beliefs are. If they're saying I'm going to wait, then that's them. But overall, and I say this in working with youth, today's youth, you know, we talk about 11, 12 and up having sex,
right?
And there's no thought about it,
right?
Right. And, you know, not even the consequences come into play. They just in it. I mean, and you know what they're talking about on the internet, they're sending pictures, to have, not to have sex before marriage when you're, you know, at the level of, you know, being mature, you know, the whole gamut, it's old fashioned. And I'm gonna even go back to, I forgot the brother's name. He used to play for the Lakers back in the 80s. He had a Jerry curl. And he was in the NBA, and he played with Magic. And y'all heard stories about Magic. And I mean, you know, I don't know whatever led to him catch, you know, HIV/AIDS, stuff like that. But you in the NBA back then, and he was celibate. And he said that he wasn't going to have sex until he got married. And he stayed true to that. And he faced it in, you know, of course, NBA, male dominated, you know, all the hormones, you know, in the rabbit, and you got women coming to you left and right. And for somebody to stay true to that, I got to commend, you know, I had to commend somebody to be that strong in their beliefs. And even today, you know, that was back in the day, but even today, like I said earlier, what is going on in our society today, for an individual to believe in that and stay true to that, I have to commend them on that, because that's very powerful to me.
It's true.
So you're saying it's old fashioned, but it's still possible.
Yeah, I think there are people out there, you don't hear about it, but I think there are people out there that stay true to that. But it is old fashioned, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think it is possible. Well, okay, I won't say it's played out, because that is based on case by case, like right. You know.
True.
I would consider it to be old-fashioned just because of how open and liberal and progressive our society is now.
Right.
I mean, it's to the point now where, like, you know, you can't even assume that a person is heterosexual.
Fact.
Just in how they view their own sexuality. So I will say that it is old fashioned. But I think that you can, just like you can abstain from like sugar and salt and soda, I think you can abstain for your own personal reasons. I do think that there are people out there. I know of couples that have waited until marriage. I really think that it's not for public consumption, because that is what you and your partner are working through, and vice versa. If you're deciding not to wait, I don't think that's for public consumption either. And I think that sometimes we as outsiders can be very invested in other people's lives. I haven't put this on Facebook yet, but since we're on Facebook, I guess it's going to be up there now. I have an issue when I see a lot of married people commenting on single people's sex lives.
Facts.
Why are you worried about it? You married. You got your partner, unless it's trash. I mean, why are you so worried about what single people are doing? Because when you were single, you may or may not have been doing what you think that single people are doing, right? But I don't think it's played out, but it can be considered old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Okay, so I grew up in a Pentecostal holiness church with purity culture, where we were basically told sex before marriage was like
hell.
I mean, you're going to hell tomorrow.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, there is no time for repentance. You're going straight to hell.
Yep. Hell.
I mean, like, you actually might go today. You probably
don't pass go
while you were having sex, and God brought you back.
He come back and catch you with your work undone.
Right. Exactly. That's how they would trick us. They would say to us, what you don't want to do is have sex, and while you having sex, Jesus is gonna come back in the middle of you having sex. So there's this whole
that's scary.
Okay. So there's this whole purity culture about not having sex before marriage, you know, pregnancy, soul ties. Now, I'm not going to get on a rant about soul ties. I will just quickly say I do not subscribe to them. I don't believe in soul ties. So that's why I asked you, Tiffany, why did you say? Because if it's about going into a relationship fresh and not carrying whatever from the last relationship. So let's say me and Carlos start dating and we know right off bat, this is it. And we get married within 6 months. Is 6 months enough time for me to get rid of the old man? You know what I'm saying? I think more than saying I'm preserving to get rid of whatever I'm carrying from the old relationship, it may be I'm preserving to make sure I'm good.
Right.
You know, I don't have sex because I'm saved. But I've never declared like some celibacy pact. You know, some people say like, I'm going to be celibate because I'm trying to get me together. Okay. So if it's about getting me together, people who are married who need to get together, do they like go be celibate and leave their husband high and dry?
Right.
So either way, my point is I would say old fashioned. No, not really. It's, you know, some people consider it biblical or religious or whatever. That's what we were taught. I think it's to each his or her own. At the end of the day, we all have to answer to God for ourselves, whether you believe it's a sin or not, whether you believe it's right or wrong or not. Like Jamar said, that's personal. That's real personal. I can't assume anybody's doing anything, and people are going to always assume you're doing everything. But at the end of the day, that's between you and your mate, because y'all might be okay with not doing that. You know what I mean?
Right.
For whatever reason.
Right.
And yeah, it's not old fashioned. It's just a lot of people today they're not trying to hear that.
And I mean, in my church that I grew up in, it wasn't talked about at all. Like
Exactly.
we just didn't.
The thing right there.
On either side of the argument, I just don't remember hearing a lot on the subject. It was almost like, you know, you were to just know, don't do that.
But you know what? Fun fact, Jamar, is that, you know, let's fast forward 15, 20 years and we're grown now.
Mm-hmm.
There still isn't a lot of conversation about
And
it.
that's the problem. I think that's the
Now
big
the conversation, if it's a conversation, it is laced with condemnation.
Right.
So,
Right.
I think that's how you end up having kids like, you know, Carlos, you said that are 11 and 12 who are interested in it because they're not having a healthy conversation in the spaces that should be safe. So, you know, either way.
And I mean, you know, in school, you learn about it in health and it's not wrapped in a don't do this. But at the same time, for those of us who grew up in church and were very involved, or our parents were preachers or whatever the case may be, you know, Don't worry about what they told you at school.
Exactly.
I said, don't do it.
Right.
My mom
In this
Yeah.
house. In this house.
Yep.
Yeah.
You ain't doing
The church, what God said mean more than what your teacher said.
it.
Well, my teacher was telling me about sexually transmitted diseases.
Right. I was
the
not
Bible. So.
exactly. That's not about.
So our topic today is it still such a thing as having no sex before marriage? I'm just saying. Do you think that still exists?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I do believe it exists. Because Pentecostal holiness churches are still open and they are still telling everybody they're going straight to hell. So after they had sex at the convention, but anyway,
At the convention.
listen, I'm a double PK. Both my parents were pastors. I was raised at church. I was probably born after choir rehearsal. My extracurricular activities included choir, ushering, and girls group at the church. Okay. So I know church and I'm not bashing church. I love church. I love the Black church and will ride or die for it. But yeah, as long as there are holiness churches sending us to hell, and as long as there are couples that as long as there are people who want to be celibate to get their life right, and as long as there are couples who say this is what we want to do for us, yes, there is a such thing as no sex before marriage. There's also a such thing as a couple choosing to have sex before marriage. And I think it is our responsibility to not care. Like, it has nothing to do with me, what you decide to do. So do it or not, have fun.
Right. Because
And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think too, aside from just the topic of church, there's so much going on in the world. There's so many diseases, new diseases now that people like, nah, I'm waiting.
Right.
I don't know what's happening. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think that's what's also pushing those who don't want to have sex until they're married, for that to rise, because, you know, it's just so scary now. People are doing all kinds of stuff now.
Yeah.
And, you know, sex ain't even like it used to be. Like, it's so many different new sexes now. You like, and I mean, children know, they know
new sex.
I call it new sex. I call it the new sex because they doing stuff now. You like, what you do? Why you? Like, that's when I go on the first date, like I ask people, are they into certain things? So I can say, nah, we ain't going further from here. That's on the first date.
Yo, you get it out the way, son. Like, early.
Why are we wasting time?
It's the first date.
So what?
Can we order the food first?
Yeah.
Listen,
Can I get my appetizer?
No, while
my
we eating,
and my
eating,
marinara.
I'm asking questions. While we eating. So I know if we going up.
No, not while we eating.
While we eating.
Dang.
I want to know.
Hey, I ain't got my Dr. Pepper yet.
Yeah.
Listen, this is how we gonna find out if we have a second date.
Okay.
Oh
I'm not mad at her. I ain't mad at you. We ain't got no time to waste.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why are we wasting time for? I don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste mine.
2020 already terrible. Just get to the point.
Let's get to the point. Bad.
Go ahead, Jamar.
Mercy. I don't even remember. I forgot. Don't worry about it. It'll come back to me.
Agree with you.
Jamar is serious.
It'll come back to me.
Jamal, you done forgot your question.
I forgot. I don't even remember. What we talking about again? I forgot. No sex before marriage. It's still a real thing for some people. And I don't remember what else I had to say.
Okay. It'll come back.
All right, there you go.
If I add, there's still such a thing as that, and you know, picking back off the ladies, and we all said it before, answering other questions. It's about you and your mate. It's where you guys are. And if if y'all come to an agreement, no, we're not gonna do that, then that's what it is. And I think Christian said a very important thing. It ain't nobody else's business. You know, I'm saying the uneducated form of it. Ain't nobody else's business. And and that's the way I look at it. You're gonna frown on by somebody else's relationship, but you need to pay attention to what you got in your what's going on in your house, so to speak. Absolutely. So I think there's such a thing as no sex before marriage.
You got it. Go ahead.
I got it. I think we also too have to give some attention to this culture of assumption that we live in, right?
Yeah.
Because in church, they talk about shacking, don't shack, right? Because they're assuming that two persons can't live together and have sex. Then, I went to undergrad when I was at Norfolk State undergrad. I went to college with young adults in their early 20s, late teens, who were proud to say that they were celibate, not for necessarily religious reasons. They chose to be for whatever, and like we've alluded to, it's really not anybody's business. But at the same time, I think we have to stop assuming all the time that people in relationships are having sex.
Right.
Right.
I think we have to stop assuming that people who are married are having sex.
Right.
Facts.
It's not trash.
Right. Because some of these marriages, I'm like, why your husband cheat? Why your wife cheat? Why y'all not even? So right. I mean, I think it just goes back to the communication piece and the foundation and the chemistry. And whoever marries Tiffany, just out the gate need to know.
Yeah.
Listen, get it right. Be right from jump.
Listen, I want to have the old-fashioned 30 and 40-year marriage. Like,
I'm with you. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe that those people, they communicated and they talked about those very things. You know what I mean? If we don't talk about it, that's when we end up, I go my way, you go your way, because we're not talking about it, and we have to.
Yeah. I want to piggyback off of something that both Tiffany and Jamar said about the assumptions of celibacy. Maybe some people choosing to not engage in sex is not for a religious reason, Right. So right. I think that's why you can't praise people for remaining celibate or condemn them for not, or like even how Carlos mentioned the basketball player where somebody said his name, T.C. Green or something like that. AC Green.
AC Green.
Bishop Greenleaf.
Bishop Greenleaf. Just like Bishop Greenleaf remained a virgin until he got married. I don't think that people are praised enough for making that choice. As a matter of fact, we will pick on them for not having 15 partners, in 5 years. Right. So either way, I think we have to overall be okay with whatever somebody's choice is, even if they don't share with you what their choice is. I really feel like that's between two people who are dating or talking or in a relationship or married. Now, hopefully you're not married and celibate, because the Bible tells you can only abstain unless you fasting or on your little thing. So y'all agree y'all fasting. That's what it is. So you want to do it on your little thing. Anyway, so
we're going to take some questions from our comments.
You gotta know what convicts you. If it doesn't convict you,
there you go.
Then how I feel about it doesn't matter, because you're not, if I'm not convicted by littering, you telling me not to litter is like bouncing off my ears because I'm not convicted by it.
That's good, Jamal.
Yeah.
So my first question from our comment section is, what if you talk to your mate in the relation? What if you talk to your mate and the relation about your relationship and the sex still doesn't change?
Can you say that again?
What if you talk to your mate about them being whack in the relationship and it still doesn't change?
Then you got to make a decision if you're going to stay in this whack relationship. That's a no-brainer. Like, if y'all talked about it, trash, like what are we holding on for? Because I'm telling you, eventually, if it's not good, and I'm not saying that sex is 100% the entire relationship, but I'm saying if it's not good, I'm not staying.
Oh, okay. I'm kidding.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's important.
Anybody else want to comment over that?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if I guess it boils down to how important is it in your relationship.
Right.
Because if somebody continues to tell you that it's whack and it doesn't improve, and I guess we would have to have another conversation about what improving looks like or sounds like or feels like. But if it's any kind of issue and I'm saying this is not good and it's not improving, then either, like Tiffany said, either this gonna come to a close or somebody else gonna fulfill that whack part. I'll stay with you because I love you, but
but that's just like another part of it. Yeah.
But you know what? So let's not assume that the party is gonna it's either you go or I'm a cheat, right? Because some people really are loyal. They're not gonna cheat. But then that means you're leaving your partner in a place where they're unfulfilled. And that's selfish, in my opinion. If I'm continuously let's take it away from sex, right? Let's say the issue on the table was how you mismanage money in the relationship.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And I keep saying, hey, babe, you can't keep going down to Rosie's and spending all our money in the casino.
Right.
And the lights are off.
And not winning.
Exactly. And you're not bringing nothing back with Rosie. Right. So, absolutely. So eventually, now you're creating this lack within the relationship. So back in the context of sex, so what if I'm loyal, I'm ride or die, and I'm not going to cheat because I'm not a cheater. Now you've left me in a space where I'm unfulfilled and you living your best life because you think you slanging and you're not. And I told you you're not slanging. And I done told you what to do and how to do it. See, now I'm going to be disrespectful and I'm going to be in the room and I'm going to, anyway, call us.
You're going to be with Jerome. You're going to be with Jerome.
I'm just playing everybody in the comments.
Man, she's not playing.
I'm just playing.
Oh, what up, Jerome? Jerome.
Who's Jerome?
That's gonna be the new one.
Oh.
I say Jerome's in the house. I'm just
Carlos, please clean this up.
So the next question to the
you gotta answer.
Next question.
Okay, go ahead, Carlos.
All right, you had it right.
What?
You say, Carlos?
Now I think it's gonna come down to it's gonna be a problem.
It's gonna be a problem.
Because Christian made a very good example of if it's something else, financial. Even if you're emotionally not satisfying someone in the relationship, if the different perspectives is going to come, eventually it's going to come down to they're going to check out. And that doesn't, when I say check out, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to find somebody else. That could be an alternative. They're just going to check out. And again, with Christian is being selfish because in old DC term, how am I gonna say? Okay, the DC term, the old DC term used to be you just getting your man. Okay. That's what it comes down to. You just being selfish.
You just getting
because that's the way I look at it. That's what it comes down to.
I would just like to say that the comment section does not believe that I'm playing, and I am highly offended. You're my friend. Correct.
You had the car out like that.
I'm calling you. I can't believe you.
That's messed up.
So do you think why do you think people are so worried about other people's business when it comes to sex?
Because they don't have none.
There you go. There you go.
They don't have no business. They don't have no man or woman.
Right.
They're not satisfied with who they do have. They're lacking, like Kristen said, they're lacking. Correct.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point of anyone that's in someone else's business because they're not happy with what they have going on. So your life is the spotlight.
I want to take it a step further than just them being unhappy with their own life. I think we live in a culture. Reality TV invites us to look inside of people's lives.
Correct.
And the problem is for the average Joe Blow who lives in Norfolk, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, Suffolk, and New York, we forget that we have logged off of OWN, WeTV, and BET, and you looking at Letitia, and you're not looking at Nene.
Right.
And so I'm not giving you my life.
Right.
You feel like because celebrities have in some way, or reality stars have in some way opened the door for you to look at their lives, that is their right. Let's look at Will and Jada with the red table with brother August, right? They came to the table and talked about the entanglement. And I was like, please believe that I'm not doing that for nobody.
Right.
Just because Will and Jada wanted to talk about their entanglement does not mean you are entitled to know about anybody else's entanglement, attachments, or any other.
Right.
And you saw how uncomfortable the atmosphere became.
Absolutely.
August dropped the bomb. Because who cared? Right. And then it became this whole thing about entanglement and Jada Pinkett and Will Smith and what Jada did with August and what Will was doing with these other people down through the year.
But I think that's why it is careful to keep your business private, because people will never be satisfied. So even if they find out whatever it is they're itching to find out, then they have to start something new. You know what I mean? We wanted to know if it was true. We found out it was true. So then we got to know something else.
Because nobody's even caring about entanglements anymore. Like, and that was like, how was that? Was it 2 weeks ago? Was it 3 weeks ago?
Right.
It's not even
maybe a month ago. Yeah. And a new word came into play: entanglement. Oh, you mean somebody was cheating on somebody?
Right.
But now you put a new word on entanglements, like, oh, and that word is acceptable. No, y'all got too much craziness going on.
Exactly.
But that's what I look at. You know what I'm saying? Myself right there. Not hating on them, but again, saying that y'all ain't paying my bills.
Hello.
Y'all not paying my bills, so you
said something. You said something.
A word.
Your cash app. What is your cash app, son? You don't keep this AC on?
Right. Hey, bro, go ahead and send me a little bit. My youngest daughter this week enrolled. She just moved in dorms in Norfolk State. All right, I need a little bit.
Behold.
Just say something.
Yeah,
can we talk about that though? Can we talk about that?
That's what it comes back down to. Will and Jada, Austin with August, whatever his name, whatever his name is. Everybody got all up in arms about that. They in California. They ain't sending me. They ain't paying electric bill. They ain't doing nothing. And everybody got all up in arms like, really?
Yo,
I'm just amazed Will ain't go across the table. That's all I want. Will, you good, bro. The look on the face was something else, but I'm just saying. But that's another story, different day, and all that right there. But
I would say this.
This is crazy.
That song went hard. I would say that.
We all on topic.
Yeah, that song with Rick Ross went hard. But anyway.
So when it comes to relationships, and we talked about relationships throughout this whole conversation, and we talked about sex. But before we go, I want to talk about intimacy. At one point, everybody on this broadcast has been in love with someone. And intimacy has played an important part of that falling in love. And so we're talking about sex and it being a deal breaker. We're talking about how important sex is. But do you think intimacy before sex will be more powerful than just having sex and it keep you in a relationship? Whether it was good or no good. Because intimacy is so powerful. So you would throw away intimacy that you have with this individual over you feeling like you wasn't fulfilled sexual, but intimate wise you was. Everything else they bring to the table. So this one thing, this one lack would end the relationship because you felt like you didn't get the full part of the stick, or you didn't get the fulfillment you deserve, but everything else they bring into the table.
So I think this goes back to when Jamar was talking about chemistry.
Correct.
Truthfully, and we know intimacy can be completely separate of sex. It's the time spent and the quality of the time spent. the little things. I think that falls in line with chemistry as well. If I don't have chemistry with you, I'm not going to spend excessive amounts of time with you in that space, right? So if we do have a good chemistry and we know how to be intimate, separate of sex, and then we have sex and it's trash or subpar or not to my expectation, because let's keep it real. We may be calling it trash and it was good, but it wasn't what I expected. I think if we can have that space of communication because we have chemistry, then things can be resolved. And ultimately, I mean, if the sex continues to not be to my expectation, but the intimacy is popping, one of two things is going to happen. Either, yeah, I'm just going to walk away, or B, I'm going to have to adjust my expectations for this relationship. If you are bringing 99 things to the table and one thing is off, I then have to decide, is that one thing worth me losing the 99? You know what I mean? So absolutely. I think chemistry has a lot to do with that as well.
And communication, which is what we said from the beginning. If the intimacy, if you and I enjoyed conversation so much that we became so intimate just from conversation, then absolutely you should be able to accept if I say, you know, we had sex and it really wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Let's work it out. Let's do something different. Let's try new things or whatever. I think that's what's going to help it, because you're communicating. And then you, like you said, Chris, if you came to that decision where you're saying, okay, either we're going to work it out or we're going to decide to keep it moving, it's based on if I'm saying I'm willing to lose those 99 things for this one.
Ditto. No, intimacy is very important. I mean,
it's very important.
It does go hand in hand with chemistry, and you know, a lack of intimacy can cause, you know, your sex life to be zero or non-existent. You know what I mean? And that, you know, intimacy is broad, but you know, it's not just about like, you know, in the moment. You know, it's, you know, do you care for me as a person? Do you, you know, do I have value to you outside of my body? I mean, because you know, at some point,
no Cash App.
Yeah, right. Cash App, $ Jamar Jones. No, but at some point, look, at some point, right? And we're speaking now from early 30 years old or younger than 50 perspective. But listen, at some point, beauty fades.
Facts.
Physical fitness fades.
Facts.
Gravity comes into play, and wrinkles and whatever else. So if you have intimacy, then you know my attraction is beyond physical. So even when the physical is no longer holding up, then I'm still able to enjoy, or I'm still able to have a fruitful relationship with you, because we've built something on a solid foundation that wasn't just, you know, sexual or wasn't just physical. You know, it's up here. You know, I'm attracted to you or engaged or stimulated up here, and then, you know, it flows out. You know, health conditions, anything. I mean, life,
it's true.
Injuries or whatever the case may be can affect. Yeah, it can affect, you know, whether you have the ability to have sex or not. You know, that's my 2 cents.
Carlos, you got 2 cents?
No, I just got one, and that I'm gonna say y'all hit on all of it. Y'all covered it right there. I mean, y'all gave great answers to that. So I ain't nothing else I can add to that. That was beautiful from everybody.
Well, I want to say something right quick. I think you can have bomb sex and your intimacy be trash. I think people they know how to go through the motions and, you know, hit it just right and do whatever, but there isn't that connection. So
it's true.
I think more than anything, we've spent a lot of time focused on sex, but for those in the comments and those who like to make assumptions and those who like being everybody's business, go check your intimacy with your partner to make sure that's on cue before you assuming if anybody's having sex or not. Okay. God bless you. Good night.
Hey, Chris.
Chris, I'm glad you actually brought that up, because I was getting to say, what's the sense of having great sex and then y'all can't even talk afterwards?
And I don't like you. Exactly.
Right. I was getting ready to ask that question. I was going to ask the question, flipping it.
It's two of y'all talking at the same time. Carlos, go ahead.
I was, as far as what you were saying, the intimacy, the sex is great, but the intimacy is trash. You feel that people will stay or be together in be in a relationship, whatever you want to call it, with the sex being the bomb. Intimacy is trash.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Girl, he got good D," and they're completely unfulfilled. You know what I'm saying? But then they're going to complain about all the areas that they're unfulfilled. No, let's work on what's really broken. You know what I mean? Whether the sex is good or not. Let's actually work on liking each other and taking care of each other and caring about each other and loving each other. And out of that comes a good sexual experience, even if we don't hit all of the bullet points. Because every time it's not going to be a good time. I don't care. It's just not.
Right. And then you got to remember there are people out there who can't be alone. They can't be by themselves. Mm-hmm. So as long as you're here with me or living with me or physically available to me,
I'm good.
I'll deal with lack of intimacy, lack of good sex, whatever. I got to be with somebody. And, that in itself can be unhealthy. But again, we don't know the experience people have had with loneliness, depression, anxiety, whatever the case may be. So, like Kristen alluded to and others, there can definitely be that lack and you still be in a relationship for a variety of reasons.
That's another show.
That is.
Yeah.
And our time is almost up. So I'm going to ask a question. I'm not going to call whoever wants to answer this question. I'm going to let them answer it. If not, we're just going to leave it alone. But my question is, if you had to choose intimacy over sex in a relationship, what would you choose? I'm just saying.
I'm going to leave that on y'all.
Listen. Intimacy.
Huh?
Intimacy.
Into
me, I see.
Gemini.
And intimacy, because it's gonna last longer.
Right.
Pun intended.
Oh my God.
So that's the Christian answer. That's the preacher answer. But at the same time, that's the real answer. Like it's gonna last longer. I mean, it's gonna last longer. How long does sex actually last? Intimacy is gonna last longer than that.
It's according to who you with.
Yeah, don't answer that. Intimacy is gonna last. Intimacy gonna last longer than that, and it's deeper than a physical connection. And I'm not downplaying the sexual side, but I just think in talking about a relationship or even marriage, because that's the word that's in the topic,
right?
You're gonna need something that's gonna last longer than what the average sexual intercourse experience lasts.
Right.
That was real scholarly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Clean up on that.
Thank you.
Like that.
Anybody else want to comment?
I'm a hopeless romantic at heart, believe it or not. So I'm going to go with intimacy. Ultimately, I would rather us have a good chemistry and there be something sustainable between us. And if it evolves into a sexual relationship or can sustain a sexual relationship, then I'm all for it. But like Jamar said, life happens, injuries, accidents, age, whatever, anything can happen and the sex life can be at a halt. And that's a whole nother topic. I got some things to say about that, but we're out of time. So yeah. Intimacy for 600, Alex.
I got nervous because I thought you said AIDS, but anyway, go ahead. I was like, whoa.
Now you are.
Anyway, go ahead.
Carlos, you gonna talk?
I'm gonna say intimacy, because again, connection, the chemistry that you have, the communication, all that roll in one. I think that would play is more important, because with those things, I think hopefully the sexual part will be a piece of it, will be part of it. It's not the whole. It's not to make you were saying earlier, it's not to make a break, but if you have the intimacy, that part is going to play into
it. Okay. Well, that's our time. So before we leave, I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to tell us where we can find you at on social media. And if you got something coming up or going on, you can let them know. So we're going to start with you, Kristen.
All right. So, if you would like to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, I am. Can you get rid of the title so they can see my?
I am.
Whatever. I am Miss Chrissy Diane. Now, let me just say I'm opinionated. So if you don't like opinions, don't follow me. That's just that. Miss Chrissy Diane. Do I have anything going on? Not for real. We're in the middle of COVID. I mean, I'm just trying to stay alive and pray that my Black brothers and sisters stay alive as well. So follow me on Instagram and Twitter only if you like opinions, baby. That's it.
Tiffany?
You can follow me at Bucky79 on Instagram. I do not have anything going on currently. That's it.
Jamar.
Now I'm about to sound all extra. So you can find me on Facebook at Jamar Jones, Jamaar. I'm also that on Twitter, and I think I'm also that on Instagram. But anyway, yes, join First Baptist Church East End every Sunday at 10 o'clock a.m. on Facebook Live, as well as YouTube, where we are the Lighthouse of the Lord, and we believe that there is a word of the Lord for your life that has nothing to do with this topic. All right. Amen.
You better promote your church.
All right. Join us, follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube.
Amen.
Oh, and First Baptist Church East End is on Facebook, and we are my FBCEE on Instagram. So when you follow me, follow my church. God bless.
Amen.
Sow a seed. Praise you. Bless you. Amen. You're taking all your COVID money.
A preacher that talk about sex and take all your money. Oh my God.
Right. Just like Paul. Go ahead.
Keeping it simple. Carlos Adams on Facebook. That's it right there. Carlos Adams on Facebook. And do we have anything coming up? If we have anything coming up, I don't think I'll have anything coming up.
No, we don't have anything coming up. Not for 2020.
Yeah. All right. I didn't think so. But
I'd like to thank my host. I'd like to thank my panelists for joining me today. Continue to watch us on Facebook every Saturday at 5 o'clock. Subscribe to my new subscribe to my new YouTube channel. Watch us on Periscope and also Twitter. And on next week, what's my topic? Oh, next month, we're going to have all male panels.
Ooh.
So every week it's going to be all males. So our first week is, our topic for next week is, what is the one thing you would change about yourself?
Everything.
So we're going to hear from the men on next week. So ladies,
me.
Give them some feedback and some messages in the comment section. Write something in the comment section. Again, tune in live next Saturday with your host, NJ. I'm just saying. Again, thank y'all for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.